everyone. Hope you are all surviving, thriving, hopefully. And hope this week has been treating you well. I'm joined here today by a special guest. She's one of my dear friends. I've known her for a while now, and I haven't seen her in a while. So I'm excited to catch up with her and also introduce you to her. Okay. Her name is Michelle Benitez, a marketing professional with a passion for stories. She has a bachelor's degree in communications, but also it doesn't stop there. She is also pursuing her postgraduate degree in marketing management. In the past 7 years, she's been able to help brands and businesses find their stories and develop creative marketing strategies. She's worked on a multitude of roles like design, product management, copywriting, digital advertising. If it has a picture or promotes something, she has probably worked on it. Talk about full-on talent, right? And in also all different areas. She is moved by the same goal, which is getting the right story to the right people at the right time. Michelle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this initiative and I'm really excited to see everything that comes out of here.
Right. I feel like when we touched base, it was last summer.
Yeah.
And we were still trying to find our footing, and here we are, a full-blown podcast.
Yeah, I remember it was an idea. Now it's actually here. So I love when that happens.
Okay, so how are you involved, or how did you get introduced to the Creative Foundation to begin with?
So I think it was maybe the end of 2023, beginning of 2024. And I decided that I wanted to start giving a bit more to the community that had received me so well here in Winnipeg. So I went online and started looking for volunteer opportunities, and that's where I ran into the Creative Foundation. And
Same.
I felt really moved by all of the missions that they had, especially because I love learning. That's where I moved to keep learning over here.
That's fair. That's a good goal, hey?
Everything that's been related to education, I've always seen a lot of value in that, and I believe that literally it's the only way to keep building our generations to move forward and to create the world that we want to create. So I really resonated with the vision, the mission. I came here one day, I met Yisa, and we were able to touch base on a lot of the things and the projects that they had coming forward, and the ways that I could contribute, and kind of that's where it all started. I've been able to help in a couple of events in terms of graphic design and kind of giving suggestions on ways that we could promote those events in a different way than it had been done before. And I'm excited to contribute in everything that comes around, but that has been basically it so far.
Cool. So if anyone has seen any of the Creative Foundation promo, the beautiful posters, chances are Michelle has touched them, worked on them, contributed to them. She is one of our graphic designers. So I wanted to unpack a couple of things that you said. So you said you moved here to pursue education.
Yes.
So where are you originally from, and why Winnipeg? Literally a frozen tundra. That's my favorite thing to ask people, because people are like, oh, I'm passionate about Winnipeg. Meanwhile, for me, I'm like, I kind of just picked a university and I said, yeah, that's sort of affordable, and then moved here.
Winnipeg. Well, I'm from Ecuador, in South America. I'm from the capital city, Quito. Okay. I don't know why I said it in a weird accent. It's Quito.
Quito.
Yeah, Quito. And there I was working, I kind of found my dream job there. I was working as a marketing assistant in a fashion company. Literally the it girl dream. It was the job that I loved the most. But when the pandemic hit, things got a bit rough. There were a lot of movement around the company, and I just knew that it wasn't going to be something stable in the long term. Mm-hmm. So I decided to explore opportunities. I always wanted to study abroad. It was one of my childhood dreams, to be honest. And after graduating my communications program, I kind of realized that marketing was the thing that I wanted to do. So I had this goal of studying abroad, and I wanted to have those academic validations of being a marketer. So I mixed them two, look up programs. And there were a lot of options, to be honest. I did, one of the reasons why I chose the University of Winnipeg and Winnipeg itself, it's because it was a 2-year program, which I feel has allowed me to explore a lot more opportunities rather than if it was like a shorter program. And I honestly get overwhelmed in big cities. I come from a big city and I kind of wanted to avoid that. Again, I mostly spend time in my house back home. So
You mean you don't miss like the 4-hour traffics in the big city?
I don't, crazy enough, I don't.
Darn.
But I do like Winnipeg because of that. I also have family here. I have a cousin here, and she was like, yeah, Winnipeg's sick. Come here. I later learned that she was probably exaggerating a bit of the positive things that she said. I was like, okay, cool, especially the night. I remember that I arrived at night here in Winnipeg, and the drive from the airport to her house, I was like, whoa, there's nothing around because it was so dark. I later, like in the daylight, it's beautiful, but at night I was kind of scared. But that's how I came to know Winnipeg, and now it's become a second home to me, and I really love living here.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. I think your cousin low-key lied, and I think she had like a little hidden agenda to get to her. So you were one of the people who got very affected by the pandemic, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say I feel that all the time between 2020 and 2024. Where are those years? I don't know. I don't remember.
It's like a bleep.
I was like, I graduated and I was so excited because I remember I graduated my undergraduate on January 2020. I got my first very big girl job in 2020, January 2020. So I was like, you know what? This is going to be my year. I'm going to start hanging out with friends. I have money now. Like I have the independence to do anything I want to do. And then so those were really good 2 months.
So you only worked at your dream job for 2 months?
Yes, on the under the structure that it was kind of promised to me. Of course, it was really nice that they were able to accommodate it, and I went remote, and then I came back to the position inside. But I think the company has actually filed for bankruptcy right now. So
no,
yeah, it's really sad because I think that beyond the job and the things that I was doing day by day, I was able to meet really fun people and really amazing people that my boss there became one of my mentors. And he's actually the one that got the idea in me to come to Canada too.
Oh, really?
He was planning to kind of make that shift with his family. So he was like, yeah, I'm trying to explore that option. And I was like, wait, I thought about it a few years ago, but I hadn't revisited that idea till that point. So he kind of inspired me to do that, to keep going. So
that's really brave. You've landed your dream job, and then you're like, actually, this was my dream. Yeah. But now my focus has shifted a little bit. I want something a bit more. And then you left everything behind to go study again. Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, I had another job, which I was able to learn a lot of things. It was definitely not that same ideal dream job. I was working at a university as a product manager of the undergraduate programs. It was a lot of a lot of things that were involved in that job, and it was really stressful. But it was kind of a step that I have to take to prepare myself to move over here. So I really liked that, to be honest. But I knew it was just going to be part of the pathway, not the end goal.
Have you always known that working in the creative sector was your path, or is it something that you sort of kind of stumbled upon and you're like, oh, I really like this and I'm gonna stay here?
Yes and no. When you're a kid and people ask you what you want to be when you grow up, I would always say astrophysicist. It was wild.
Hold on. Yeah. Astrophysicist.
Yeah, not even astronaut or anything, because that sounds cool. No, it was an astrophysicist. It's because my mom made me watch Apollo 13 when I was small. But it's okay. And I was so focused in that. I did the IB program, which basically is this really intense academic program for the last 2 years of high school, where they prepare you for study at big universities and to amazing stuff. And I took physics and math as like one of the courses that I was focusing on. But I also did arts. So I think in the back of my mind, I always knew that I was going to eventually make the shift. Sadly, my parents were not that prepared financially for me to go into college. So when the time came, I was like, okay, like I want to do something great. Like, what can I do? Like, how can you help me? So I had to apply for like public university in Ecuador, which is a whole thing. It's a whole process. I was able to get like a spot to study pure physics at one of the best universities there. But before I went and enrolled into that, I remember talking to my mom and her saying, hey, like, what are you going to do with that? Like, I see that you love arts, you love writing, you love reading. Are you truly want to be stuck behind a desk, like doing math and formulas and eventually probably end up being a teacher, which is great because I know you'll be passionate about that too, but do you really want to see that as your life forever? So I took a step back. I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I need to chill and not rush into it. And I had already given up on the idea of studying right after high school. I knew I was probably gonna have to take a break. And I was already working, but luckily my mom, because moms are always like that.
Yeah, they have this like sixth instinct and you're like, I don't want to listen to you.
They just figure stuff out. She was like, hey, I found this university. I looked them up and they offer scholarships. So why don't we go ahead, have you apply and see where you can get. The worst thing that could happen is that you don't get in and you wait another term and you're able to enroll after. But she went and she pushed that. She took me there. I gave the exams, the admission exams and everything. And I ended up getting a full scholarship to go and study there. That's when I went into communications. And it's funny because the day that you give your exam, you had to select which career you were interested in. And I had selected marketing. But then I look at the curriculums of both of the programs, and communications had a lot of arts. I did a lot of drawing. I had photography classes. Like, I had this really creative focus in that career that marketing didn't have at the moment. So I went and did communications. My mom still tells me, you chose marketing the first time. You should have just gone with your gut. But I really appreciate having done communications because it gave me that, like a big picture of everything that's involved in marketing as well. And in that career, like while I was doing that program, I met my husband. So, yeah, we met in college. So.
College lovers.
So my mom still says that. Like, she's like, you met him because of me. And I'm like, yes, mom, that's true.
If I had $1 for every time my mom told me, like, I told you so, or like, you should have listened to me, I would probably like have over $100 in my bank account just from her being right. So one of Creative Foundation's goals is to encourage kids to apply for scholarships, right? So coming from someone who did get a full ride to university, what do you think were like the main barriers? And also, what did you have to push through in order to be brave enough to apply for a scholarship? Because I think it can be really intimidating, right?
Yeah. I think sometimes schools, and I mean like high schools, and like before you graduate, there's a lot of myths around what it is to apply to a university. It's like, oh, you have to have perfect scores, you have to have this, you have to have that. But I think beyond that, it's the passion. There's always an interview section. And I think when they actually get to know you and get to see you and they are able to see that passion in you, that's what changes their mind. When we did this, like the applications for the scholarship in that university, my mom went with me and actually I got 75% of scholarship the first time. But she was like, no, we're not settling for that. So there you see my mom dragging me around the university a week before classes started. And she's like, we're going to talk to the admissions officer, the one that gives the scholarships, and we're going to tell her about you and like have her meet you. So I went there, my mom made me talk to her, and she was like, you know what, I think she maybe just wanted to get rid of my mom. She was like, okay, there you go, 100%.
I'm obsessed with your mother. Can I like be besties with your mom?
I think she would love that. But that's kind of where it went. So I think the biggest challenge is maybe believing in yourself. Because it doesn't mean that you need to have all of these extracurriculars most of the time. There's different types of scholarships for different types of people. I had classmates that for sure knew that they were going into sports scholarships because they were really good athletes. I couldn't take a PE education class. Like PE was my biggest nightmare. But things like arts, math, and the academic setting was something that I was always really comfortable with. And those good grades are the ones that got me into that path of being able to get a scholarship.
So, like, I think this is a universal thing, which is there's so many pathways to get a scholarship, right?
Yeah.
And you just need to find what you're good at and then amplify that, make sure it is known that that's your strong suit, and college admissions will likely see that. And like you said, even if you didn't get 100% the first round, 75% is still pretty good.
Really
college
good.
can get pretty expensive.
It was really expensive, which is why I knew that was going to be the only way for me to do it. And I think also growing up, I learned to appreciate the value of education, because I studied in a private school, and those are not cheap either.
Yeah.
And I saw how my parents really struggled to make ends meet just to keep me and my sister in that school. And for example, among my classmates right now at the university, they asked me like, hey, how were you able to have such a good level of English given that you never lived in the US or like nothing? It
Same. I get
my
that
education.
so much.
Yeah, it was that education that my parents were able to give me. So I think learning from a young age opened all the doors that a good education can open, and that learning and that being that person that always seeks knowledge, it's really important to have a mindset that is different from just like, oh, I'm going to school because I have to. No, in my case, I was going to school because I actually enjoyed it, and I actually saw the value that it was going to bring in my life later on.
You went there because you wanted to. It wasn't like you were dragging your feet. It wasn't a chore to you. No, it was like your happy place even, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I peaked in high school. I was so happy.
Yeah, I think we were like talking about this before the podcast.
Yeah, I was like, high school.
If only, right? I feel like when I was in high school, I wanted to get out of high school so fast because I wanted to face the real world.
Yeah.
But now that I'm in the like quote unquote real world, I want to like come back, like retract to my shell and just
like
have someone feed me, someone like just tell me I need to study and read books.
My teachers were my best friends.
Right? I love that. I had a question and then it like flew out of my head. That's okay. Okay. So as someone who enjoys learning, and I think you'd even call yourself like a lifelong learner, right? Are you the kind of person who likes to focus on like learning one thing in depth, or are you the kind of person who learns broader things? So like, are you a jack of all trades, master of none? Or are you a master of something?
I think it's a mixture of both. There are definitely things that I found myself really passionate about and that I went like full into them, like graphic design, for example. In my undergraduate program, I touched a couple of courses on graphic design, but I cannot say they were like really comprehensive or anything. But I like had a look at it, had a feel at it, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna be good at this. So I went and just like full on taught myself how to do graphic design, how to do arts, how to use Illustrator or Photoshop. And now it's something that I really consider myself a master in. But in professions like marketing too, there's a lot of things coming up all the time, like different platforms. Like when I started, TikTok was not even a thing. So having that mindset of being able to grab what's around you, and get what you can and what you need from those like spaces, it's important. Sometimes I think we can get overwhelmed by the amount of things that there's to learn in the world. And I think about it all the time where I'm like, with the internet, everything I want to know, it's a click away. Like I can just like go on a quick Google search and find out the answers to questions that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, my parents couldn't. Like they literally had to go to the library, look at the books, talk to the librarian, be like, hey, I cannot find the answer. So it was a whole process. I think it's easier to learn now, but it's also more challenging because you have a lot of things, and it's easier to get lost among all the knowledge around.
Especially now, I think with Google, you don't even need to read the blogs because ChatGPT just gives you the summary at the top.
The best now.
Yeah, I think like this notion of paralyzed by choice, right? Everything is so accessible.
Yeah.
But where do you even begin?
Yeah. I think it's a double-edged sword because you have everything in hand, but you also have everything in hand. Where do you start? What do you choose? So it's a hard thing to kind of balance. But the skills that you get from school and what I was mentioning before, the IB program that I did helped me to change my mindset into a way of there's a problem, I want to find out the solution, and now I have mechanisms to know how to do it. I know that probably like Wikipedia is not a good option, but I know how to read scientific papers. So I had the other day a question about this certain like medical product that I was like figuring, is it good for me? Is it not good for me? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and research and like read a scientific paper. And I went full on went to the conclusions, the abstract. So I think having that ability, it's more important even than knowing a lot of things. Knowing how to look for things is at this modern age a skill that everyone should have.
Right. So that willingness to learn to begin with, right? Like the soft skill, because everything hard skills you can easily learn, you can easily pick up. Okay, maybe easily is like
but like repetition and like practice. Yeah,
you can learn it. You can learn it, but you have to want to learn. You have to want to look it up, right? So you and I have something in common, which is we moved here as an adult, and one of the main, I guess, issues I have with moving to a new country as an adult is making friends. You're leaving behind everything you've known. You're leaving behind your whole family, your whole friendship circle to start over. How did you find that, and how did you navigate through that?
I think it's really important to anchor yourself in those, I want to say, connections that might be already be available for you. So like I mentioned, I have a cousin that lives here. So I was able to connect with her friend group and kind of grow from there. And I find it funny that when you enroll in a university program, you are by default going to share spaces with people that already have a lot of things in common with you. Right. So right now, my best friend is a 40-year-old Colombian man that loves marketing and that has a really good, that we have a lot of things in common when it comes to our mindset and the things that we want to challenge ourselves to achieve further on. So I think sometimes it's about looking into the unconventional spaces too and go beyond the things of like, oh, are they my same age? Oh, do they come from the same country that I come from? Yeah. No, because there's a lot of other bridges that can be built between people, and I think it's really important. Another thing also in a job place, in a workplace, you are able to make those connections. And my other best friend, she's a Canadian girl that is my manager right now. Okay. She's 21. She just turned 21. And she's like my other like rock and my anchor here in Canada. So I think my friend group right now, it's really odd, really out of the common.
But like, I guess being super open-minded to having new friends and not just being stuck to your old friends. Yeah,
definitely. And being able to open up those conversations. For the longest time between me and my manager, we had like a really professional relationship where it was like, hello, how are you? I'm good. Okay, I'm going to go and do some calls. Okay, cool.
The regular Monday morning conversation.
The water, right? Yeah. But then it slowly turning to, oh, have you seen this blogger, like this YouTuber? And I'm like, yeah. Did you see that she got divorced? And she was like, yeah, I saw that too. So we started bonding about those little things.
Celebrity gossip?
Yeah.
I love celebrity gossip.
And that's what kind of connected us. And then we realized that we had like really similar mindsets too. She still lives like a really different life from mine, but we're able to meet each other at certain points in our lives where we're able to give each other advice. And I learn a lot from her. I want to think that I'm able to pass her some of my knowledge. So being in those relationships that give you something while you're also offering something, it's important as well.
And I think that was like one of the questions when I first started volunteering for Creative Foundation, one of the students actually asked me the same question I just asked you. Like, I want to move away from Winnipeg, or like I want to pursue education somewhere else, but it's really scary leaving your friends behind, or like how do you get out of a bad friend group, right? Because as a teenager, I think, well, at least when I was a teenager, one of my biggest things was like I really wanted to be accepted. I really wanted to be popular.
Yeah.
Because I watched too many like Mean Girl movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think branching out and really opening yourself up. I think making friends is also a really vulnerable experience.
Yeah,
Right? Because
it
unless
is.
you open up and unless you have like you're willing to put yourself out there, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, and I also think a lot of the dynamics that you live in your childhood can move on into your adult life. For me, I had a really bad friend breakup.
Oh no!
When I was
those are arguably worse than relationship breakups.
I'm like, I'm still not over it, and it's been like 10 years. So if my husband were to leave me today, I don't think it would scar me as much as that friendship.
The friend breakup.
Yeah, I'm like, I still think about it.
Hello, Michelle's husband. Where are you at?
I'm always throwing him under the bus everywhere. Sorry.
That's okay.
But I think being able to understand that things are not always going to be the same, that if you're in a bad situation growing up, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same forever. And that there are people out there who would truly love to be friends with you. So I feel that sometimes that idea of wanting to stick to a certain friend group because you are used to them or because you feel comfortable to them, but in the end, they are not helping you or supporting you to become the best version of yourself. It's important to acknowledge that and be like, I think I might, like, as much as it hurts, I might want to move on because there's bigger and better things waiting for me on the other side.
Yeah, I think like I tell myself almost, okay, not daily, I'm not that much, but I sometimes remind myself to not be afraid to outgrow your friends.
Yeah.
Because if your friends can't evolve and grow with you, then maybe that's not the people you should be surrounding yourself with.
True,
right?
and it's tough. It's tough to come to that realization, and it's sad too, because sometimes they're the people that you grow up with, and it doesn't mean that you don't care about them anymore or that you don't love them anymore. It just means that for now you're gonna have to take different paths and evolve in different ways at different times, and who knows, maybe in the future your paths could cross again. Yeah,
fair enough. Okay, so I know we've been chatting for a while about like pretty deep topics, sometimes most of them, but I do want to close out our conversation with a little game, which is unpopular opinions. So, premise of the game is pretty simple. I've thought of, I meant Reddit, Googled at 2 a.m. Some unpopular opinions, and I would like to get your take on it.
Okay,
so
I'm ready.
My unpopular opinion number one is, this is also very near and dear to my heart. Iced coffees for an all-weather drink. Like minus 40 to plus 40 iced coffee all the way.
Okay. I don't know.
No? Like, are you a hot coffee girly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a coffee girly, first of all. I'm more of a matcha girly.
Yeah, there's hot and cold matcha too.
Yeah, I'm also like big fan of matcha. I think there are certain drinks that you can have really cold and like really hot, but there are ones that I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it until the summer to try it out. And for now, I'll stick to my matcha or like my chai latte and just like move over to cold drinks down the road.
Okay, but like in the middle of winter, middle of January, are you drinking hot or are you drinking cold?
Well, if it's matcha, it's gonna be cold. Okay. But if it's like coffee or anything else, hot.
Yeah. Okay. I went to like a coffee shop and I think it was like minus 40, one of like our minus 40 days. And I asked for like a nitro cold brew. And they're like, ma'am, it's minus 40. We don't stock those until the summer.
Okay.
I was so sad. Okay. Unpopular opinion number 2. And this might be a representation of when we recorded this, because this is going to get published way
down the road.
Yeah. Down the road. But live action remake movies with the same storylines cannot be called a new movie.
I agree.
Okay.
100%. I was at the movies the other day, and I remember that out of the, I don't know, 6 or 7 trailers that I saw, like half of them were remakes.
Right.
And I'm like, how many more Jurassic Park movies can we have?
It's like the same product with different packaging.
Yeah, it's just like the dinosaurs are still the same. So yeah,
just because you change the graphic doesn't make it a new product, guys.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
I'm on for that.
This is another one that I think relates a bit to Creative Foundation. After-school educational programs are just as important as after-school sports programs.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think sometimes we overlook the fact that everyone has different talents and everyone has different ways that make them who they are. So for me, if like my mom were to enroll me when I was, 9 years old into like soccer after, I probably would have been miserable. But she was able to get me into art programs and to have me explore different parts of my identity through that. So I 100% back that one.
Okay, there we go. That's all our unpopular opinions for today. Michelle, where can people find you? Or do you want to follow you?
Do I want them to find me?
Do you want to get a bit Instagram famous or TikTok famous?
I'm on LinkedIn because I'm an adult now. So you can find me on LinkedIn as Michelle Benitez. Yeah, that's where you can find me. It's really funny because even though I work in social media, I'm not a big social media posting person myself.
Gotcha.
I love myself a TikTok and I love to follow like a bunch of accounts and I know all of the things related to Instagram Reels and everything that's going around. I just like to do it behind the doors and like in the behind the scenes kind of thing.
That's fair. Okay, so LinkedIn, Michelle Benitez.
Yes.
And then for Creative Foundation, because we're wrapping up, Creative Foundation, you can find us in St. Mary's Road. And yeah, let us know what you think about this episode. Let us know what you would like to hear next. And until then, everyone, stay curious and stay creative. Bye.